Welcome back to that Flight Sim channel, guys. I am your host, Captain Gonzo, and today we are going to be diving into Black Square's Bonanza Professional. We are focusing on the A36 naturally aspirated model, and we will be covering the other two variants in separate videos. Guys, this is going to be a basic tutorial helping you get from point A to point B. Keep in mind, we are still learning the Bonanza as much as we can here at that Flight Sim channel, so we're probably going to miss a few things. Just let us know in the comments below if you have discovered better ways to do this. But guys, I promise you, we will get you from point A to point B, and we will try to demonstrate various scenarios along the journey of this flight. So let's hop right in. I hope you guys learned something and enjoy the video. All right, everybody, here we go. We are on the ramp here, signature at St. Petersburg-Clearwater Airport. We are in the A36, so this is the naturally aspirated version. We'll be focusing on this one for this tutorial. Now, a quick disclaimer, guys. Remember, I have never flown the Bonanza family in real world. I'm just going to be trying to stick to the manuals here, just like I recommended in my initial impressions videos where I said RTFM, read the freaking manuals, right? So I will try to do that. I have it here right next to me on my iPad, so I will be calling up those checklists for all of our normal procedures. So here's how it's going to go. We're going to try to do this as basic as possible. I've even gone ahead inside the cockpit and I've configured the panel to just be with the default GNS 530 and 430 stack, right? No PMS or TDSI sim. 750, because I know not everybody flies with that. Okay, so I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. We'll be departing from St. Petersburg, then we're going to head northeast on a short hop over to Daytona Beach. Okay, so let's start with the pre-flight. Now for this, I will not be using the checklist. If you want to do that, then by all means, just remember you can just hit the toggle EFB, go to the aircraft, go to your checklist, and you can see here you've got your pre-flight, in-flight, and post-flight. Now, some of these I will be calling straight from the manual itself. So some of these I may not see. Actually, they might be imported. Yeah, they're actually imported from the actual manual. So disregard. I thought there was an actual walk-around checklist. So I apologize. Let's just close that up. Keep it here on my SimBrief dispatch. Okay. First thing, you can check the flaps. They don't really move. That's fine. Checking the ailerons. You can hear them. Let's go back here and remove this static port cover. Now, once again, guys, this is CM Update 3. So we are in the native version of Flight Sim 2024, and I still don't see my tail numbers. And I don't have a custom tail number put in there. So if there's something I'm missing, please let me know, guys. Elevators. But you know why that is? Because I've got control locks. Aha. Okay, well, let's go ahead and do that. I just hopped in the airplane. Open the doors and that's it. So there we go. Let's remove the control locks. Now we should have free and correct control movements. Here we go. Yeah, look at the flight yoke there. Good movement there on the aileron. Nothing yet on the flaps. That's fine. Let's go ahead and check that elevator deflection. I love how you can hear that noise too. It's those turnbuckles inside. Now you can see the rudder, it says no handle, so we just want to inspect it visually. You don't want to start wiggling that. I've flown several Piper aircraft, I believe, that tell you the same thing. Now if you're on the Cessna fleet, they'll encourage you more than likely to wiggle that rudder around. Alright, we're checking the, I believe this is called the NACA vent. I forget what it stands for, but there is a feature that allows you to take air here coming in through the empennage inlet. Here's another little outlet, looks like. Checking the static port here. It is free and clear. Over on the left wing, looking at the flap, looks intact. Again, let's go ahead and deflect the ailerons here. Those look a-okay right there. We're going to check under the wing. And it looks like when I removed the static covers, my pitot cover was also removed. Now, I don't have that fuel straining capability like the A2A fleet, but that's okay. Let's see if the stall warning here. Nope. That doesn't work either. Fuel caps. No, not modeled. I could have sworn they were. Oh well. Checking the little fins here on the grids. Look at the leading edge. You can see all the dings, all the defects. That's pretty normal for aircraft like this. We're checking here on the engine cowling. Making sure everything looks good. Looking at the nose gear assembly there, making sure there is no fluids of any kind, no oil. I've seen photos of oil just draining down the shaft here on the nose gear. That's a good sign. You can see tow limits, notorious on Beechcraft aircraft, are very tight. All right, let's remove the inlet cover. Looking at the alternator belt there. And let's go ahead and check the prop. Good tension. That's good. And now I know if I click here, it'll enable the ground power unit, but we will not be using the ground power unit today. We'll just be starting from the battery. But just so you know, and another quick feature to show you. If you're in cold temperatures, I believe you click right here and you get the propane tank heater, which is a cool feature. It is proprietary with Black Square aircraft. I think they introduced it with the Duke and it is awesome, but we're not in cold weather, so we don't need that. All right, looking at the landing light, looks good. Taxi light is intact. We're just going to follow along. This is very, very quick. We're checking the leading edge here of the right wing. Here is your radar pod. Look at the cracks. I love that. The textures. That's very accurate. That's exactly what GA aircraft look nowadays. Unless they've got brand new paint. Nav light assembly and strobe, which I kind of walked around. I didn't really mention on the left side, but looks good. Green on the right, left is red. Here's your strobe. Everything's intact. Static wick there. Okay, I think we're about done with the pre-flight. Let's go ahead and close the doors here. And I don't think I can physically hop onto the aircraft. Nope. Okay, so we're just going to hop in. Let's open the little porthole. Yeah, we'll keep the door open right now. Now, before we get started with our before starting engine checklist, let's go ahead and bring up the Black Square EFB. It's one of my favorite features of any Black Square product. I mean, it is phenomenal. So let's go to payload. Now we're going to pull up the Flight Sim EFB right next to it. We got to configure our payload. So we should have 233 pounds of fuel. Right now we're showing 241 pounds. So that's actually even better. It's close enough. Passengers, we should have 2. So we're actually going to remove the co-pilot. And we're going to add PAX 1, PAX 2. Baggage, we should have 110 pounds. Looks like we can only do 70. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to add 40 pounds here to this passenger. There we go, 210. CUG is still a little bit biased left. That's fine. We'll be okay. But there we go. Payload, we should have about 460 pounds. Our estimated takeoff weight, 2,800 pounds. So right now, our maximum takeoff weight is 3,650. We're well within that performance envelope to take off safely. And our gross weight right now, as we said, is 3,000 pounds. So we're still good. Okay, so we've got that configured. As you can see, we'll be departing from KPIE, St. Petersburg-Clearwater, and heading up to Daytona Beach with an alternate of Orlando. Looks like airtime 45 minutes. That sounds about right. Here's our route, which we will be configuring on the GNS 530. Hopefully, I remember how to do that so I can help you guys do it correctly. All right, payload has been configured and set. I'm going to leave it on the engine analyzer page here. I like to see this when I'm going to start the engine. So let's stow that for now. Okay, before starting engine, pre-flight inspection complete. Control locks have been stowed. Seats and seat belts secured. Cabin doors latched. Let's do that. Parking brake is set. That is that lever right here underneath the landing gear. Emergency gear handle should be stowed. And you're probably wondering, where is that emergency gear handle lever? Well, you got to scroll back here on the camera, and there she is right there. It is in the stowed position. Avionics breakers all in. Checked. Flaps are up. There's your flap lever. Oxygen pressure, verify 1550 to 1850 psi. Yep. We're just north of, what is that, 2200? Avionics should be off. You can confirm here everything is dead, and you can see the master for the avionics is off. Throttle is closed. Propeller high RPM. Mixture full rich. Cow flaps open. That is going to be underneath your throttle quadrant right here. Throw it down into the open position. Aileron trim should be centered. Here's your aileron trim knob. You can see the triangle lines up with that middle dash. Alternate air should be off, which is right here. There we go. Alternate air is centered right and pushed in. Firewall valve should be open, so push it. That's going to be right here. Push it in. Landing gear should be down. I hope so. We just saw them down. All sub-panel switches should be off. So everything is in the off position. Taking a quick scan. All right, next is the CO, or carbon monoxide detector. It is found right here on the bottom left, just left of your left thigh. And we're going to go ahead and press and test. Good. That checks out. Fuel selector to the fullest tank. We'll start on the left. We've got even fuel. A beacon light can go on. So your exterior lighting is found right here. So you're going to press the beacon light switch. I have it mapped to my Honeycomb Alpha. Battery master. It's going to come on. Bus volts, 23 volts minimum. You can see right here on the bottom. 21, 22. So yeah, I think these are in 2. So yeah, 24 volts looks like. Annunciators test and consider. So you're going to find your annunciator test button right here. Press and hold. You're going to do a quick scan. Everything seems to be lighting up. Release. Primary alternator should come on. Standby alternator on. Fuel quantities check. Showing half and half. I think let's see how much we had on the aircraft there. Let me scroll back. 20 gallons. We got 40 gallons total. Auxiliary fuel pump to low. You should be able to hear it. That is the next item. And then we're going to turn it off. Standby gyro pump on. You can hear it. Look at your attitude indicator. And we should see the annunciator at the top for the standby gyro. Instrument air should be green. And that'll be right here, just forward of your RPM and mixture levers. It is indeed in the green. We can go ahead and turn off the standby gyro pump. There we go, confirming it is coming back off. All right, now we are ready for a cold engine start. So once again, mixture full rich, prop lever high RPM, throttle full open. Auxiliary fuel pump is going to be on high for 2 to 3 seconds. And for fuel flow, we're going to want to see more than 3 gallons per hour. So here's your fuel flow meter. So let's go ahead and throw it to high. There we go. It's about 7. That's about 3 seconds. Throttle, we're going to open it 1/2 inch. So bring it back to completely closed and about 1/2 inch. And now we're ready to engage the starter. And once we do start up, we're going to make sure we manipulate the throttle to maintain 1,000 to 1,200 RPM. Clear on the left. Clear on the right. Grab your mag switch. And clear prop. There we go. Let's maintain 1,000 RPM. After start checklist, throttle 1,000 to 1,200 RPM. Oil pressure in the green. You can see it right here. Start annunciator extinguished for the starter. It is extinguished. Low volts annunciator extinguished as well. alternator load below 25 amps in 2 minutes. You can see right there, we are indeed underneath 25 amps. Bus volts, 28 volts, checked. Engine instruments, check. So we're scanning. Oil pressure is in the green. Oil temperature is in the green, climbing. Cylinder head temperature still cold. Exhaust gas temperature still cold, but it'll come to life. Manifold pressure showing 10 inches in mercury. Lights as required. We'll go ahead and get our nav light on right here. Weather radar off and standby. We'll keep it off for now. Finally, avionics can come on. So let's go ahead and grab our avionics master and go on. There we go. Everything's coming to life. Cabin air and heat as desired. Air conditioning as desired. Mixture, lean for taxi. Lean it just a little bit. And parking brake will be released, and we'll check the brakes as we get ready to taxi. Looks like the 530 and the 430 are ready to be initialized, so we'll press enter, enter, and enter. Now I'm going to scroll. There we go. And the first thing we want to do is pick up ATIS, which is on 134.5. So right now you can see your COM 1 is right here. So we're going to set that to 134.5. So here we go. And let's swap from standby to active.
Ticket 900 feet. Advise on initial contact you have information Tango. St. Petersburg-Clearwater International Airport, information Tango. 0453 Zulu. Arriving and departing runways 22, 36. Wind 255 at 5. Visibility 10. Sky conditions, clear. Temperature 23. Dew point 22. Altimeter 29906. Density altitude 900 feet. Advise on initial contact you have information Tango. St. Petersburg-Clearwater International Airport, information Tango. 0453 Zulu. Arriving and departing runways 22, 36. Wind 255 at 5. Visibility 10. Sky conditions,
okay.
Clear.
Let me reduce the volume a little bit there. So we've got information Tango. Let's go ahead and tune into clearance on 120.6. Bring the volume back up. You can see the AC door extended is illuminated there on the annunciator panel. That's a good sign, although the temperature is still a little bit hot. That's okay now. So, it's time to configure our flight plan here. But before we do that, let's give clearance a call and let them know that we're ready to pick up our IFR over to Daytona. St. Pete clearance, good morning. Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike with Tango, requesting IFR to Daytona.
American 1356, cleared to Daytona Beach. Radar vectors VARs, then as filed. Climb and maintain 3000. Expect 1000, 10 minutes after departure. Departure on 125.3. Squawk 2467. Expect runway 22.
Alright, cleared to Daytona Beach. Radar vectors VARs, then as filed. Climb and maintain 3000. Expect 1000, 10 minutes after departure. Departure's frequency on 125.3. Squawk 2467. And we'll expect runway 22 for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike. Alright, there we go. Now we're on the ground frequency. Now you can hear Say Intentions doing the funky stuff where it reverts to an old call sign of American, but we'll keep calling ourselves Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike as filed. Okay, so we can expect 3000, so you're going to find your altitude here for your autopilot. We'll set 3000, and then it's time to configure the flight plan. Alright, here we go. We're going to use the 530, so we're going to press flight plan. We're going to right click. We're going to select our departure here. KPIE. Now, if you want to make it easier, you can just type this symbol here and it'll activate your physical keyboard, but we're going to do it old school. We're going to press enter. Let's get the EFB. We were cleared direct VARs. We're going to use the smaller knob. And you can see as I'm finding the corresponding letter, I select it, just scroll using the smaller wheel, and then using the bigger wheel, I go to the next field for the next character. Bars. There we go. It already guessed the last letter, so enter. After VARs, we're going to join Tango 210. So let's type in Guano first, which is our waypoint.
Good afternoon, ground. Allegiant 452 at gate 8. Ready for push and start. Allegiant 452
Guano.
St. Pete ground, push and start approved, tail west.
Now, one thing that I forgot is that you can't load airways, unfortunately, on the default GNS 530 or 430, as far as I know. And I just tried searching for it, and I couldn't figure it out. So a little bit of Google just kind of revealed that. Unfortunately, we have to do it the manual way, right? So we determined that between VARS and Guano, we are joining the Tango 210 airway. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to right-click. Let's go to Guano. Let's press enter. Yeah, let's remove the waypoint. There we go. So clear and then enter. So right click again. After VARs, let's go ahead and pull up my Navigraph app. As you can see, between VARS and Guano, we've got all these waypoints here that are part of Tango 210. You can see the magenta line right there. So we're going to add Punku. So we're going to use that. And if you feel like you're good with the GNS 530 and 430, go ahead and fast forward from here before we start taxiing. I'm just doing this to cover all legs of the trip and to make sure that we help every type of simmer out there. There we go, Punku. After Punku, we're going to Akojo. Let's use the keyboard. Save some time here. Akojo, we're going to press the keyboard symbol, press enter. After Akojo, we're going to Dale. Keyboard entered. Clear out of this. Make sure I'm in the right field so I can't see. After Dale, we're going to MC. After MZ, we're going to Kaiser. And then we can put in Guano. And then we have to add our destination, which will be Daytona. Whoops. KDAB, Daytona Beach. Keyboard. And there we go. Active flight plan, St. Petersburg to Daytona Beach. Giving you your distances and all that fun stuff. Okay, so the flight plan is set. Let's close this up. Now let's see if we can add the departure just to select the runway. So we're going to press the menu button here, go to departure, enter. Nope, none of these are our SIDs. We'll just use the PIE one. Nope. Okay, we'll leave it as that. Alright, just to make it simple. Because runway 22 is over here. So we're going to taxi northeast. And then we're going to spin around and take off to the southwest there. You can see the route is already set. At least we know we're headed in the right direction. And guys, it's been quite a while since I've used the 430 and the 530, so I apologize if I'm making any silly mistakes. Feel free to give me any suggestions in the comments below, okay? We're not professionals, we're not experts. We're just showing you how to fly the aircraft, but this is part of it, right? Because you have to be able to get from point A to point B, and we are in IMC conditions here, even though they said the sky is clear. You'll see here momentarily. Well, it turns out weather conditions are actually improving, but we're still going to have to climb through the clouds. So remember, as a VFR flight, you are to stay clear of clouds, and then there's certain minimums you have to abide by in terms of distance to the clouds at or below or above. But we're not going to get into that. So one cool feature, guys, that Black Square gives you is if you find the cabin noise is too loud, you can just press right here where it says phone jacks. And you hear that? So now we're simulating active noise reduction. But let's keep it on for now. Why not? Alright, let's re-enable the yokes. I think we're ready to taxi. Let's go ahead and release the parking brake. We're going to check the brakes here. Good brakes. Give it a little bit of throttle here. Just missed that line service technician there. Hopefully she's okay. And remember, we are moving on the non-movement area, which is the ramp. So you don't have to call ground control until you're ready to go over into active taxiways, right? So we're going to hold short right there and let ground know that we are at signature with Tango, ready to taxi for departure. St. Pete ground, Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike with Tango at signature, requesting taxi runway 22 for departure.
American 1356, runway 22 taxi via Alpha Alpha 6, hold short of runway 36, then Golf Golf 1.
Alpha Alpha 6, hold short of runway 36, then Golf Golf 1 for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike. Alright, Alpha Alpha 6, Alpha's right there in front of us. Let's get our taxi light on. So here's Alpha, then the Alpha 6 is directly out front. Strobes off, landing light is off, and we continue taxiing down until we get to Golf 1.
American 1356, contact tower on 118.3, have a good morning.
Alright, we'll set the parking brake. We've been handed off to contact tower 118.3.
Petersburg ground, Aaron 23 gone, clear runway 36, request taxi to general.
Switch that over. Alright, now we're ready to do our run-up. So, parking brake is set. Annunciators test and consider. So, checking all annunciators once again. Looks good. Remote compass. Slaved and aligned. 1.5. Okay, that looks good. You can see right here. I can go to free. Or slave. So, I'm going to keep it on slave. Make sure, let's go to full rich. Throttle, let's look for 1700 RPM. Nice and easy. There's 17. Now we're going to exercise the propeller to a 300 RPM drop. So using that prop lever, bring it down. Make sure instrument air is in the green. We're going to check magnetos and we're going to look for 150 RPM drop max. Here we go. Back to both. Now we're going to go to the right mag. Good. Back to both. Now we're going to go ahead and turn off the primary alternator. Sorry, this one here is bound to one switch on my alpha. Load meter to secondary. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Secondary. Alternator load should have increased, and you can see it right there. It is pretty much maxed out. The standby alternator annunciator should be flashing. Let's go ahead and turn off the standby alternator. Alternator load should be 0. Primary alternator on. Standby on. Alternator load should be above 25 amps. I'm not seeing that right now. Let me see if I throw the switch. Oh, I know why. Forgot my primary. There we go. Above 25, checked. Prop heat on. Prop amps, 20 to 25 amps. I'm seeing 25 on the money. Prop heat can come off. Throttle to 1,000 to 1,200 RPM yet again. Keep it there at around 1,100. Electric trim will exercise it. So here we go. And let me enable the yoke so you can see that. Here's your electric trim. You can see the wheel moving. Autopilot, we'll test it. So the autopilot is right here. Engage it. You can see the flight director and autopilot annunciator. Let's see what happens if I try to turn the control wheel. You can see, there we go. There's the horn. Good. And let's do that again. We'll enable the autopilot. We'll turn the heading bug 30 degrees left. We're at 1213, 135. There we go, somewhere around there. Autopilot master is engaged. We can also press the test button. There we go. Okay, we're going to check the autopilot for real this time. Okay, next item on the checklist, autopilot test. Here we go. You see everything is illuminated, all your modes. Look at the altitude target set there. Everything is lit up like a Christmas tree. That's good. Now we'll engage the autopilot master. Let's go ahead and set our heading bug 30 degrees left. So around there. Heading mode engage. Good. Yoke movement is in concurrence with what we set on the heading bug. And the flight director indicates LF bank. Heading bug 30 degrees right. Good. Observing the yoke movement. Flight director indicates a right bank. Alright, we'll disconnect the autopilot. We'll press the flight director off. That's caged. Elevator trim set for takeoff. Go on the green. Flaps check operation. There's your flap lever just behind the co-pilot side. So we're going to go ahead and set flaps all the way down. Good flaps. I see the amber illuminated there for down. Let's set it up to approach. Windows are closed with the exception of our little porthole here. Aft door annunciator extinguished. Don't see an aft door annunciator. Flight controls free and correct. Let me zoom out. Forward on the elevator. Aft. Left aileron. Right aileron. Rudders. Good. Altimeter has been set to 2996. Same over here on the FO side. Departure altitude set 3,000 feet. Takeoff heading will be set once we get our takeoff clearance. Panel lights dim for takeoff. Not needed. Parking brake release. And before takeoff checklist, it'll be max power, oil temperature 24 degrees Celsius minimum. Let's just verify that. Yep, oil temperature is nice and warm. So we've got what, 50? Nope, so that's 40, 50, 60, so 65 degrees Celsius. Auxiliary fuel pump should be off. Confirmed. Air conditioning will come off. Landing lights will come on. Transponder to altitude reporting mode. And weather radar will come on. Okay, I think we're ready, so let's close the little window. Re-enable the yoke. Tower, Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike holding short of runway 22, ready for departure. Let's go select the elapsed time.
American 1356 St. Pete Tower, runway 22, winds 250 at 5. Fly runway heading, cleared for takeoff.
Fly runway heading, cleared for takeoff, runway 22 for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike. Alright, press control to start the timer. Let's turn off the AC, as we just talked about on the checklist. Landing lights and strobe lights can come on. Clear on the right, clear on the left. And for takeoff, throttle will come full open, brakes will release, engine instruments will check. And then we're going to be rotating at 71 knots indicated airspeed. We'll retract the flaps at 80 knots. Here we go. Slowly introduce power. Takeoff power is set. 71 knots and rotate. Gear coming up. Gonna stay on this runway heading. We're above 80 knots. Flaps can come up. Now we're gonna wait to be handed off to departure.
American 1356, contact departure on 125.3.
125.3 for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike. Alright, 125.3. We're through 1,100 feet. Still on that runway heading. There we go, let's call them up. St. Pete departure, Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike, climbing 1,700 for 3,000.
American 1356, Tampa departure, negative radar contact. Please verify your squawking 7221 and your transponder is set to mode C.
They changed it up. Alright, squawking 7221 confirmed, squawking mode Charlie for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike.
American 1356 Tampa departure, radar contact. 3 southwest of St. Pete at 2200 feet. Pinellas Park, altimeter 2997. Climb and maintain 3000, turn left, heading 060. Vectors to VARS. Then is filed. Climb and maintain 1000.
Seems a little bit redundant. Okay, let me just fly the plane first. Let's maintain 3,000. Alright, we'll make that left turn, heading 060, vectors to VARS, and then we'll climb to 1000 for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike. Let's set that heading bug over here.
American 1356, left turn heading 060, vector Savars, climb and maintain 11,000.
Left heading 060, vectors to VARS, climb and maintain 11,000 for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike. Alright, there we go. Just a bit shy. There we go. Let's set that heading bug. $11,000. All right, I think it's time to go ahead and enable the autopilot. Enable heading mode. There we go. We've got a good climb rate. We're still doing about 1,100 feet a minute. So, en route climb checklist mixture max power. So we'll be monitoring our RPM and manifold pressure there, making sure we're maintaining maximum power. Propeller to 2,500 RPM.
1356 direct VARS, then as filed, please.
Direct VARS, then is filed for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike. Let's reduce RPM there to 2,500. Cowl flaps as required. We'll keep them open right now as we're pushing the engine. Air conditioning as desired. Let's go ahead and get some... looks like we're pretty good, actually. 72 degrees. That's pretty good. It's only going to get a little bit cooler here as we continue climbing. Oxygen as required. No need right now. And engine performance monitor. En route climb checklist complete. Now what we can do is go direct to VARS. So we'll press the direct. Press enter. Activate. And then switch over to nav. Now, before you do that, make sure you are in GPS mode. If you switch over to nav, it will not track that magenta line on the 530 or 430. Alright, so we've reached our cruise altitude of 11,000 feet. Let's go ahead and check that cruise checklist. Cowl flaps close. Bring that lever up. Landing light can come off.
American 1356, prepare to descend in roughly 20 minutes. Reach out if you want an early start.
Copy. We'll prepare to descend in 20 minutes. We'll let you know if we want to start descending earlier for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike. Landing light is off. Pitot heat can come on if outside air temperature is less than 4 degrees Celsius. Outside air temperature is right at 4 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and play it safe. Let's get our pitot heat on. Alright, so fuel quantities, no more than 15 gallons of imbalance between the sides. That looks pretty good to me. I've switched over to the right tank. Here is your tank selector right there. Tip tank transfer as required. I don't think we have any tip tanks on the A36. Lean the mixture. So first, let's go ahead and adjust our propeller to 2,500 RPM. There we go. We've already leaned the mixtures pretty good amount. And then throttle full open, cabin air and heat as desired. We're sitting at 71 degrees Fahrenheit. You can pull on this knob to introduce a little bit of cabin heat and some cabin air. And if you want to see what's happening in your cabin, you can go here to your Black Square tablet, go to the cabin tab, and check it out. Outside air temperature right now is at 5 degrees Celsius, so we don't need that pitot heat, but let's keep it on just because we've got some moisture around the area. You can see everything's in the green, showing a nice comfortable setting. Target with our current settings is 76 degrees Fahrenheit or 24 degrees Celsius. Ear discomfort is green, so if you disconnect from the active noise reduction, you'll see that slowly turning amber. But we'll go ahead and turn it back on. So we are at 11,000 feet. Let's go ahead and turn oxygen on. We're showing 91 on the pulse oximeter. Next item on the checklist is air conditioning as desired. So we'll keep it as is because we've got good temperature. And lastly, engine performance monitor. Alright, check it out, guys. So we've been vectored now. So we are told to descend to 4,000. Left turn heading to 070. So let's go to heading mode. And then our altimeter at Daytona right now is 3000. So let's go ahead and set that up. Okay, descent checklist. Cow flaps closed. Throttle reduce. Mixture will enriching as we continue to descend, so we'll give it a little bit here on the mixture. Engine performance monitor. Cylinder head temperature 116 degrees Celsius minimum. Let's increase this nose down attitude for our descent. Watch our airspeed there. We're entering the VNO. And we're being vectored for the ILS 25 right approach. So I have to find that here. So let's go to flight plan. Let's go to menu. Let's select an approach. ILS 2 right, or 25 right. There we go. And we're going to do vectors right now. We're going to go ahead and load. GPS guidance is for monitoring only. Load approach. Yes. You can see the approach has been set. Now I've got to find my localizer frequency and my final approach course. Okay, so we've got our ILS frequency for the localizer, which is 109.7. And you can see here on your nav radio, you can see 109.7 is active. And that is because we've already told the GNS 530 the approach we'd like. But if that's not the case, and you need to manually tune it, go to the push CV button here and then right click, and you can see how now you've got your nav radios selected, so you can select whatever frequency you need to right there. So let's go back to comm since we've got that set. Now we've got to set our course here. Final approach course is 250 degrees, so we're going to select that. There we go, 250 is set. We're descending through 4,400 for 4,000. I haven't heard anything else. Let's go ahead and select our approach checklist now as well. Seats and seat belts secured. Fuel selector to the fullest tank. Let's switch over to the left tank. Fuel imbalance, 15 gallons max. Tip tanks transfer as required. Oxygen off. Landing light is on. Where is it? There it is. Pitot heat on if outside air temperature is less. Stand by. Left heading 065 for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike. So they're vectoring us in right now. Let's get back on the power as we're stabilizing here. Prop heat off. Let's turn the pitot heat off as well. Cowl flaps as required. We'll go ahead and open them. Mixture, max power. So we'll find the sweet spot. We're still at 4,000 feet. And then flaps, we'll set them to approach as we get ready for that phase. Approach checklist complete. Check it out. We're in full IMC right now. Just lovely. Holding at 4,000. And as we continue, let's go ahead and set our minimums here on the radar altimeter. Our minimums are 234 feet.
75 contact Orlando Tower on 118.45. 118.45 for Southwest 1375.
There we go, close enough. You can see that orange caret there on the radar altimeter set. And as you can see here on the GNS 530, we're just about to go feet wet here over the eastern coast here by Daytona Beach. Hopefully we get those vectors here pretty soon so we can turn inbound and intercept that localizer for 25 right.
700 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS runway 25 right approach.
Turn left heading 330, descend and maintain 2,700 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS 25 right approach for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike. There we go. Now we're talking. So let's go ahead and go into vertical speed. We'll start descending. Let's reduce power a little bit here. Left turn heading 330. And we have to turn so we can intercept that localizer. We are in nav mode. Let's arm nav. There she goes. Good, good. Let's go ahead and arm the approach mode. Looks like we overshot the localizer, so we're going to come back here. 17.5 miles from the localizer. Got plenty of room here.
American 1356, contact Daytona Beach Tower on 120.7.
120.7 for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike. So long. 120.7.
American 1356, 120.7, squawk unchanged.
Yeah. Same intention's been bugging out lately. Don't know what's up with that. Daytona Tower, Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike, 15 miles, established on the localizer, 25 right approach. Actually, that should have been an ILS approach, not a localizer approach.
American 1356, Daytona Beach International Airport Tower, roger, continue approach runway 25 right.
Continue approach for the ILS 25 right for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike. Alright, there we go. Approach mode is armed. You can see the glide slope illumination there. Let's go ahead and set mixture full rich. We'll keep the speed up for now. You can see now we've got the approach coupled message here showing up on the annunciators.
American 1356, winds 240 at 6, runway 25 right, cleared to land.
Cleared to land, runway 25 right for Bonanza 377 Kilo Mike. Alright, so we're descending here. The glide slope is captured. Let's slow down. Nine miles to go. Alright, we're just flirting with 140 there. Let's go gear down. Get some drag there. Taxi light is on. Let's set flaps to approach. And let's set the prop RPM to full forward. we're on the white band now, inside VFE for flaps full. Let's go ahead and flaps full now. Landing checklist, propeller lever, high RPM, mixture, max power. We'll keep it full rich right now as we're pretty much at sea level. Flaps as required. Landing gear down and locked. 3 green. Autopilot disconnect. We'll disconnect once we're ready. I see PAPI lights. That's good. And we'll press the autopilot disconnect once. Let's set the altitude here to 3,000 for our missed approach procedure. Before landing checklist complete. Checking the radar altimeter. Yep, below 1,000. We're at 800 on the barrel. I'm just using my throttle right now. Using my throttle, keep an eye on my airspeed. Letting the autopilot do its thing on the approach coupled mode here. It's like winds are shifting a little bit. I'm nervous. I feel like this landing is not going to be too good, but let's see if I can surpass my own expectations. Let's see. Alright, autopilot is disconnected. My controls.
9853 Golf, welcome to Daytona Beach. Contact ground on 121.9er.
Over to ground, 121.9er, 9853 Golf.
9853 Golf, contact departure.
Over to departure, 9853 Golf.
I feel like we're going to sink here once we come over the numbers. Not bad at all. Alright, nose is down. We're gonna vacate, let's see, let's just get off here to the right. Awesome. Welcome to Daytona, guys. Let's stop here just past the hold short lines. After landing checklist, cow flaps open, checked, flaps up. Lights as required.
Contact ground on 121.9er.
Ground 121.9er for Bonanza 377 kilo mic. I almost said Baron. 121.9er. Switch it over. Alright, so lights as required. Strobes can come off. Landing lights can come off. Pitot heat off. Checked. Air conditioning as desired. Keep it off. Cabin air and heat as desired. After landing checklist complete. Let's call ground. Let them know we're ready to taxi to the the general aviation parking here. Daytona ground. Bonanza 377 kilo mic. Clear of runway 25 right on November 7. Requesting taxi to the general aviation ramp.
American 1356, taxi to GA parking stand 123 via November 8, November Charlie 3. Good day.
Taxi to the GA parking stand 123 via November 8, November Charlie 3. So long. Alright, let's see where we're at here. So, 25 right, we just touched down. Looks like we vacated on November 8, actually not November 7. So we'll take November 8, make the right turn November, left hand, Charlie 3, and the FBO is over there on the other side of the terminal. Alright, here we go. Alright, this is good enough, I guess. Shutdown and securing checklist, parking brake set. Avionics off. All sub-panel switches to off, so we'll kill all the lights. Looks good. Throttle to closed. Prop lever to high RPM. Make sure to cut off. Magnetos off. Alternators off. Battery master 2 off. And then it wants us to release the parking brake and set the control locks. I'm going to keep the parking brake on. Let's install the control locks. And there you have it. Shutdown and securing checklist completed. Let's step outside of the aircraft and do our post-flight. Let's open passenger door here for cargo and baggage. Well, we've made it down to up to Daytona Beach, I should say. Not down, because we flew from St. Petersburg on the west coast up to the eastern side of Florida. Guys, I hope you learned something along with me here on the Bonanza. I'll be honest, I feel like I need to do a couple more flights before I tackle on some more complicated scenarios, and I will try to be more detailed on the cruise power settings and all the other items that you can find inside your manual. This aircraft is very, very nicely modeled, and it behaves just like you expected. So don't take it for granted. Learn it better than I do right now, or better than I have, I should say. And just practice, okay? I think for the next flight, I'm going to step it up to the turbocharged model and see what kind of performance differences we can see in comparison to this normally or naturally aspirated A36. All right, guys. Well, this is Captain Gonzo with that Flight Sim channel. Thank you for checking us out. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that. Helps us, doesn't hurt you, and we'll continue developing these cool tutorials to help you, especially newer simmers in the community, tackling on some advanced aircraft such as the Bonanza by Black Square. All right, guys, smooth landings, happy flying. We'll see you on the next one.